Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode, joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox, and David, we brought him back on. Normally, he's only a once-a-year guy, but it's got to be two.
It may be another 30 years, boys, but by God, we want it.
I love it, man. I love it. It's awesome. On a serious note, congratulations. I'll get back to making fun of you about the Braves tomorrow. But for tonight, I'm going to let you have all the glory, man. You deserve it. Been a long time.
Well, I think even if Swor being a Yankees fan, you being a Cubs fan, I think we all understand that every year that the World Series is won, it's a special year. No. It really is. You know, the run that the Yankees made years ago in the 90s, that was, Paul O'Neill, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Jorge, all those guys. It's just a special time in that franchise's history. And I think for the Braves this year, you look at a franchise that lost their entire outfield, and you retool this thing, and all of a sudden you're looking and you're like, wait a minute, we've lost one of our best pitchers in Soroka. We're patchworking this thing all of a sudden, but the guys they brought in together, and I think we know this from playing college baseball together. When you got guys that love each other, I don't mean like each other. When you got guys that love each other, that don't care who is in the paper the next day, great things can happen. And I think that's what you saw in Atlanta. I think you saw a bunch of guys that just really loved each other. The core of that is Freddie Freeman. And I know we'll get to that a little later, but I just think that you look at this Braves team and you think to yourself, I mean, at the end, I've had people from across the United States call me and text me and say, we were pulling for the Braves. They were just fun to watch. Those guys looked like they loved each other. And I think that's what you saw here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pulling pretty hard for them. So Shelton, I always got to ask this question of Braves fan. I mean, is Snitker good now? Or are we still going to be firing?
Well, no. At the end of the day, let's think about it. I got Bobby Cox right here. Bobby Cox, he won one World Series, same as Brian Snitker now. Both of them are the worst bullpen guys in the world. I mean, I was at Game 3 in Atlanta. They brought in Luke Jackson. I put my head down and told my buddy, I said, tell me when it's over. And I knew it was over. I mean, so at the end of the day, guys, Brian Snitker is a guy that has spent the last 42 years of his life as a player and as a coach in the Braves organization. And I don't think there's any guy that you can ever say deserves to win a championship for an organization more than a guy that spent over 40 years in that organization. So, hats off to Brian Snitker, hats off to the Braves. Snitker will always go down as a guy that won a World Series. How many managers can say, Joe Torre has multiple World Series. But how many managers can say, I won a World Series? And at the end of the day, that's what we've got. And that's at the end of the day that the Braves are, a team that, on paper, if you look at last year's team, they were so much better than this year's team. Mm-hmm. If you look on paper for next year's team, if we re-sign, if we dig deep enough to get the $200 million that Freddie's asking for, if we re-sign Freddie next year and you got Acuna coming back, maybe Ozuna coming back, you got a chance to have a couple of these other guys. Now, Soler is gone. He's a DH in the AL next year. Hands down, that guy, what a find that guy was. But at the end of the day, on paper, with Soroka, with Acuna, with Ozuna, with who we bringing back. We just signed the catcher from the Brewers today, a 3-year, $18 million deal. The Braves on paper are better next year than they were this year. But I think we all know that means nothing. It's about momentum. It's about who's hot. It's about who's not. Will Smith goes from a guy that when he brought him in the 9th inning in the regular season, we turned the TV off, to a guy that gave up 0 earned runs in the postseason. Wow. And so all the pieces fell in together. I don't expect the Braves to repeat. I expect them to be decent next year, maybe win 80, 90 games next year. But at the end of the day, there's a young core of guys that are there. The farm system is just plentiful with talent. This is a thing that they could ride out for a few years, I think, and have 4 to 5 more years of success. Not world championships, but success. So But like I said, in Braves country, if you ever got to attend a Braves game, it was one thing. If you got to attend a Braves postseason game, it's much like college football. And I know DJ knows nothing about this, but Swor you do with that West Virginia. Now, college football, the excitement of college football is next level. And
Amen.
so, and that's what Braves baseball is. It is college football fans cheering for a Major League Baseball team. And that's why Braves country is just so special, because we are just from the first pitch to the last pitch. It is every pitch matters. And I think you saw that the Braves lost one game in the postseason at home. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fans.
Yeah.
So I got to go with you there, man. I talked to David about this. 90,000 fans at a college football stadium. The team comes out to enter Sandman and literally earthquake levels. I couldn't believe that. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That was recent, I think. I can't remember what college.
Well,
that was.
it's Virginia Tech. You got
There you
three places. You got three places in college football that are just different when the game starts. Virginia Tech's one of those. Tennessee's one of those. Tennessee, when that tee opens, you can't even hear your own self think. It's so loud in that place. And so there's just a few places in college football that are just so special. But it's the same atmosphere, man. I'm telling you, it's the same atmosphere. We give you a hard time about being a Cubs fan. Listen, there's nothing better for baseball than the Cubs and the Yankees and the Dodgers to be in the World Series. There's not. I mean, that is your staples of Major League Baseball. We can throw the Red Sox in there as well, but we can talk about the Braves and the Royals and the Astros and all these other teams that have shots. But at the end of the day, it's the Cubs, it's the Dodgers, it's the Royals, Red Sox, and it's the Yankees. Those teams are what makes Major League Baseball click. And no matter what people tell you, they're going to watch those teams if they're in the World Series.
So Shelton, I got to ask you, you kind of talked about it a little bit. So you were the only guy who was lucky enough among our many teammates who are Braves fan to actually go to a World Series game. Now, I've never been to a World Series game. David, I don't think you have either.
Nope.
You have to kind of give us a little more perspective on that atmosphere and what's different about it from a regular season game.
Well, let me take you back. In the 90s, the Braves made 4 World Series. Okay. Yep. In the 90s, my family was not privileged enough to have the resources to attend any of those games. So you fast forward 20 years, I'm in a position that I have, through the grace of God, I have the ability to do some of those things that I weren't able to do in my high school years and middle school years. So at the end of the day, it was one of those things that we paid $500 for outfield tickets. We had a guy that was a season ticket holder, this friend of mine. We got in the virtual line and all this stuff. We were able to get 4 tickets, ended up getting 8 tickets. We sold the rest of those for face value to people that we knew wanted to go that were Braves fans. So we went out there the day before we went to game 3. We paid $500 for those tickets. We got offered $3,500 per ticket.
Wow.
There's not enough money in the world for me to miss this event because it was something I'd always wanted to do. Now, the Braves Stadium holds about 42,000. Think about 42,000 inside the stadium. Think about another 38,000 outside the stadium. There was 80,000 people around the greater Truist Park complex. When we won that game, it was in the 9th inning. It was Eddie hits a single up the middle. It goes off the glove. We win that game. So we literally have to fight. And when I don't mean fist fight, but we have to bump and grind our way out of what's called the battery. So when you leave Truist Park, there's the right field gate is the main gate, and it goes through this extension, which is kind of like Wrigley Field. They try to make it like Wrigley Field of all the things that are around Wrigley Field, all the great things that go on. So they built that more commercialized. Of course, they had the movie theater and shops and restaurants and whatnot. But we had to really beat and bang our way through. And if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of videoed some of it. We were literally holding on to each other's belt loops to not lose each other because we were having to fight our way through the crowd just to get back to our car. 2 hours to get out of the parking lot. I mean, it was that crazy. So, but imagine not being able to move The bathroom lines were 30 minutes. The concession lines were 30 minutes. I mean, just imagine just as packed out as possible. From 30 minutes to an hour before the game. In Atlanta's known for one thing. They're a 7:05 or a 7:15 start every weekday. The difference is this. People don't show up till the third inning. It's Atlanta. They're going out. They've got out of work at 5 or 5:30. They went to eat. They show up to the Braves game at 7. They leave at 9. They go home, go to bed. This was so big that an hour before the game, the place is packed. You can't move. You can't do anything. You've got Jock Peterson beads being thrown. I mean, they've sold hundreds of thousands of Jock Peterson beads to every kid, adult, and whatever else. I mean, if it was Mardi Gras, nobody have a shirt on the whole place. I mean, it was that. I mean, it was just incredible atmosphere. But at the end of the day, I think Major League Baseball saw that moving the All-Star game was a big mistake. That was number one. Number two is this. Major League Baseball has a problem. I'm 43. Swor's 42, I think.
41.
41. DJ, you're 41 as well, I believe. We're the guys staying up till midnight to watch these games. Here's the problem with Major League Baseball. Growing up, Dale Murphy was my guy, and then became Greg Maddux and Chipper Jones and John Smoltz and Tom Glavine. Well, the World Series didn't start at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I got these guys became my heroes because I got to watch them.
We've talked about this, DJ.
The problem with Major League Baseball is this. You've commercialized yourself to where the next generation will never know the Ronald Acuñas. They'll never know the Derek Jeters of the world. They'll never know, the Sammy Sosas of the world, DJ. They'll never know these guys because they're in bed. They're in bed ready to go to school the next day because they can't stay up past the second inning because they have to go to bed. And so Major League Baseball has to fix this. They have to get their grasp around, listen, for us to have longevity in this sport, for us to have for Swor's kids and for DJ's kids to be fans of this game, to truly love this game, we've got to make it where they can watch this game. And starting these games on the East Coast at 7 and 7:30 and 8 o'clock at night is not conductive to our next generation becoming true baseball fans. It's 3.5, 4 hours. The attention span has to be so great to begin with. But it's much like when this guy right here, Dale Murphy, came to bat when I was growing up. I knew that every 3 innings there was a chance he got to hit, and I was glued into TBS to the guys that called the Braves games because I wanted to see this guy hit. I wanted to see this guy manage, and the rest can be, for the rest of us, we can all say the same thing. But we can't do that when we're having to put our kids to bed in the second inning and expect them to become great fans.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. I even like the day games, those afternoon, 4:05, 5:15, whatever.
So let me butt in real quick. So how many people between social media, between having a phone in their pocket, which is basically a television, between people like you and I or DJ who work in places that can watch a television, maybe not fully, but sparingly throughout a day, how many of those people in America can sit there and watch a 12:05 or a 1 o'clock game, and those kids get home on a school bus and it's the 4th inning or the 5th inning, and they get to watch those last 4 innings, and they get to see heroes made because they get to see people like a Soler hit a ball 780,000 feet in Houston, and all of a sudden he becomes their favorite player.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what Major League Baseball is doing with this.
It's nonsense.
That's a great point, man. I totally agree. And so I got to ask you this too. So Christian Pache didn't even see the field at all, which was crazy. However, we know why, because he picked up the 3 studs and had 4 stud outfielders there going. So he had no shot at making it, basically. So Shelton, talk me through what they're going to do with the outfield moving forward. What are your thoughts?
Coach, I think Christian Pache gets traded. I really do. I think we trade him for some starting pitching. Pache cannot hit as well as the guys we have. And I think now, glove-wise, fellas, he is a DJ Cox. He is a Jason, a JP Price. This guy can go get it. Maybe, and this is a stretch, believe me, can go get it better than Andrew Jones.
Wow.
His jump his jump, and you guys know what I'm talking about. His jump off the bat is incredible. The problem is you can't have a guy playing center field in the major leagues right now hitting 230.
Nope.
It doesn't work. We got to get a guy 275 is about the minimum we can stand in the outfield. And so I think when you're looking at this guy, he's the odd man out. I mean, if Ozuna comes back, if Acuna should be back, we've got a log jam. Eddie Rosario should be back. Adam Duvall, this guy, unbelievable. Jock Peterson is going to be back. We have a log jam. Now, Jorge Soler, listen, guys, I just don't think there's a chance. I think the Angels, the Red Sox, the Yankees, I'm going with the obvious ones. They're looking at this guy and saying, he hit 42 home runs with the Royals one year. This guy's legit. I think they come with a bag of money, and the Braves don't have the money to spend on a Freddie Freeman and then try to lock up Soler as well. I just don't think it happens. I think he's gone. I think Pache gets traded for some relief pitching. The Braves, although the Braves relief pitching was really good in the postseason, it really wasn't great in the regular season. So to answer your question, I think Pache is the odd man out.
Go ahead, David.
I was just going to ask you, how scared are you of losing Freddie Freeman? So the news hit today, met with the Yankees.
I think that Freddie's demand of $200 million, I just don't think the Braves can do it, guys. I'm sorry. I think our only saving grace for the Braves, the Yankees doesn't make any sense. He's a Southern California guy. Okay. So Dansby Swanson is a guy that grew up in Atlanta. Yeah. He'll take the hometown discount to stay. His family's there, his mom's there, his dad's there, his grandparents are there. Everyone's in Atlanta. And so he's good there. Freddie, I think, is a guy that will meet with some other teams, see what's going on. I don't think the Yankees make any sense. I think the Angels, the Padres, I think some of these other teams in the Dodgers, even maybe from Giants could be a possibility. I think Southern California or Atlanta is his two landing spots. His family loves Atlanta. His son's, a big Atlanta guy, Braves guy, but he's young enough to move him to the West Coast. But it's one of those deals that we look at the A-Rod contract that you guys took on, years ago. And you got to ask yourself the question, $200 million. $200 million, you just won a World Series. Are you okay with saving $200 million and signing a guy that, that will be okay and trying to make a run? Or do you want to sell the farm, bring Freddie back for 6 years? He'll be 49 when it's over with, or I'm sorry, 39 when it's over with. We've all witnessed with Pujols, things really start to fall off the rails around 35 or 36.
DJ will never admit that.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So at the end of the day, I think you've got to look at the business side of this. And you and I, David, deal with this daily on different things. But on the business side of this, $200 million can really cripple an organization if you allow it to. And I know Freddie is a guy that I will always think of as a Brave. But if he doesn't come off that a little bit, I just don't think the Braves can do it.
So where were you? Prediction.
Go for it.
If the Braves don't sign him, I do think the Yankees will, just to be honest with you. Now, unless he just doesn't want to go to New York, because, Freddie's the best. I think the Braves got to make it happen, man.
Well, now Freddie may not be the best offensive first baseman. Freddie is the best defensive first baseman in baseball. There's no there. I will go to the Sun and back to argue about the best defensive player in baseball. You got the guy behind you is really good offensively. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I just see Freddie either going home or staying in Atlanta. I just don't see if you get $175 million from the Braves for 5 years and the Yankees offer $200 million for 6 years. I think you got the Chipper Jones effect of telling him, hey, do you know what it's worth to be with one organization for your entire career?
Oh, absolutely.
It pays so much more on the back end than it does on the front end. And so, I think some of those things will come into play. I hope Freddie stays, but Freddie stayed when he didn't have to. He was pivotal in bringing us a championship back to Atlanta. And so if he goes somewhere, I wish him nothing but the best.
So, Steven, where were you for the final game when the final out was made? Who were you with?
I was actually in my home by myself. And guys, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it was right. We were at Temple. I was at Temple from 97 to 2000, 96 to 2000, actually. The Braves' last opportunity got swept by the Yankees in 96. They won it in 95 against the Indians. We went 4 times. We were basically, other than beating the Indians, we're the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball in the 90s, if we're being honest. There will never be another Braves team that wins 14 straight division championships. Never. I don't think anyone wins 14 straight. I don't think there's ever a rotation that has Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine, 3 Hall of Famers in the rotation at one time. I'm worried about next year with Charlie Morton. His age is starting to catch up with him. Soroka's got to come back from 2 injuries to his ankle. But I was by myself, and DJ, I couldn't help to think about, and I know this is probably not where we're going with this, but me and JP were such huge Braves fans. We loved them, and we talked about them during batting practice. We lost JP right after graduated in 2000 to a car accident. We've waited so long. Now, we didn't wait as long as the Cubs did, 100 years basically to win one. But now that's something totally different because of Wrigley Field and all that. But the Braves, I've been to 3 Brave stadiums now in Atlanta. This new one is so much better than anything that you could ever imagine. It is a baseball stadium. It's not a multi-purpose stadium. It's not a football stadium or Olympic stadium that we've converted into a baseball. It is a baseball stadium. And for us that understand what that means, it's just so special to watch them play there. But I was by myself, and I would like to tell you I had a tear to my eye, but I really didn't. I had such a huge smile on my face, thinking that, God, I've waited a long time for this. I mean, it's such a and I go back to the days of Dale Murphy and Bob Horner and Pascual Perez getting lost on 285, couldn't make it work the game. And, just so many years of just almost embarrassment. It really was. It was almost embarrassment. To see this team come together was just incredible.
That's awesome, man. That actually was one of my questions, is who you thought about. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was absolutely amazing. So, man, all right, I got to ask you this too, because I wonder this as a Braves fan. The Braves franchise has now won 4 titles, but 2 are in Atlanta, 1914, 1957, 95, and 2021. Do you count the first 2 as a Braves fan?
I don't. I mean, Atlanta, it would almost be like the LA Dodgers counting the Brooklyn Dodgers. The Brooklyn Dodgers, if we're going back in history, the Dodgers were people that dodged the rail trains and the trolleys. I mean, that's what that is. LA doesn't have that. And so, yeah, we can say we won 4 championships, but for me, the Atlanta Braves, Hank Aaron, that's why he's not on my top 3 of all-time Braves players. Atlanta Braves players. He's not an all-time. He was in the twilight of his career. For me, it's Dale Murphy, it's Chipper Jones. We can fight about the third one. We can fight all day about Smoltz, Maddox, or Glavine. We can fight about those guys, but it's Dale Murphy, it's Chipper Jones, and it's who are you want to put third as an Atlanta Brave. And the Yankees, they can count all those champions, 27, I think, and whatever it is, 27 champions. They count all of those. It was in 2 stadiums. I've been, luckily I've been able to attend both those stadiums. The Cubs always been in Chicago, but for me, Boston championship, Milwaukee championship, Atlanta. It's about being in Atlanta. If the Brewers want to count that one in Milwaukee, that's fine. But it's about being the Atlanta Braves, and it's 2 championships, and I'm good with that. I have no qualms about that.
Did you attend the championship parade in your underwear, and how much gear do you own as World Series?
I did not attend the championship. Listen, there's one thing you don't want to do in Atlanta is fight the traffic. And I could not imagine the traffic that there was to watch that parade. Second, I did watch the parade from my office. But for me, it's not about the parade. It was about it's the ground ball to Swanson. Swanson, the guy that grew up a Braves fan in Marietta, Georgia. He gets the ball and he throws it to the longest tenured Brave on the roster, Freddie Freeman. And to see Freddie Freeman catch the ball and put both hands up, that's the statue that needs to be outside of Truist Park of Freddie Freeman with all the other greats of Warren Spahn and Phil Necro and Bobby Cox and Dale Murphy and all the Chipper Jones and the others. It's Freddie Freeman holding up both arms at first base with his foot still on the bag saying, "We finally did it."
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Absolutely awesome. So I guess one of the last questions I got then is kind of talk just a little bit in general. And I know this is a very broad question because it was such a long series, but what were the keys and who were the key players in the World Series itself, not the playoffs, but like in the actual World Series against the Astros? Who are you going to look back on and say, man, if we didn't have this guy, like we wouldn't have won the series, or stuff like that? You know, what in general?
Well, here's the deal. I've said this before, and I wish I would have got this on text you guys this so you would know this was the truth. Before the series started, Soler had COVID in the championship series, didn't play. Okay. I said, when they bring Soler back, I said, he's either going to be the hero or the zero. When you come back from injury, an ankle injury, DJ, like I had my senior year, or an arm injury or whatever, you're either lights out or lights off. And I thought Soler was either going to be the really the hero, the zero. And you look and you see he wins the MVP. Now, I didn't guess he won the MVP. I'm not going to lie to you. That's not what I was thinking. But if I had to go outside of the obvious, the MVP, it's Tyler Matzik. He come out of the bullpen, guys. Listen. In the postseason, he was 3-0. His ERA was 1.72. He pitched in 13 games. I mean, he gave up 10 hits in 15 innings. He gave up 3 runs. They were all earned runs, no home runs. He walked 4, but in 15 innings, he struck out 24, had a whip of 8.89, and the average batter hit 189 against him. This is a guy that was bagging groceries 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought you were going a complete different direction there, Steve, but that is a great point, man. He was lights out in that bullpen, and I'm with you. That's a great point.
I mean, he was when he well. Listen, we played with guys, and we know who I'm talking about. When Coach Hall brought him in from the bullpen, we're like, Dave Swor was on the mound, we got a chance. Joe Friend's on the mound, we got a chance. There's guys that we know that's going to give us, Bootnitz when Kansas came in, we had a chance. Okay. Yeah. But we know there's guys that when they brought it, I've listened to JP drop F-bombs out there in the outfield. When we brought in certain guys, we knew we were in trouble, right? Am I right? But
Yes.
but the same thing, when we're diehard fans and we see a guy like Tyler Matzik coming in, we got a chance because we know that this guy he may have a bad night, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to give us a chance. And so, I mean, that's that guy that I turn to each time was if we can get the ball to him. Ian Anderson was another guy with the starter. Listen, I thought, my gosh, this guy's lights out. AJ Minter's another guy that pitched really well. Jesse Chavez is a guy that, and then Will Smith, we were talking about him, didn't give up one earned run the whole time as the closer. But, for me, guys, it was, you look at that bullpen, it was AJ Minter, it was Matzik, it was Will Smith. They had shirts made in Atlanta called the Night Shift. And that those guys, it said the night shift, and on the back it had those 3 guys, and they were the night shift. They really were.
That's awesome.
And so it was special. I'm not going out on a limb and saying that when we meet again in March, I'm going to say the Braves are going to win the East. I don't know. The Phillies are still great. The Mets are going to be good. The Marlins are younger and going to be better. I do think the Braves pitching can be better. Freddie's going to be a big question. That's a huge hole to fill if we don't re-sign him. Listen, I'm sorry, but I may be biased. But for me to look at you and for you to ask me, who do you think should win the National League MVP? I know that was one of the questions. If you look at me and you tell me that Austin Riley shouldn't win the MVP with 33 home runs, 107 RBIs, he hit 303 this year. Listen, if that guy's not winning the MVP with a World Series championship, I don't know what year you can give it to him. I really don't.
He's not even in the conversation is the crazy thing, because I did the same thing.
33 home runs, 107 RBIs, and he hit over 300. Yeah. What more do you want this guy to do?
It blows my mind. It blows my mind. But if you
to be honest with you, he turned it up. You look at the Brave stats before Ronald Acuna hurt his knee and after. Riley turned up the juice when we lost our best player, which is no doubt our best player. When we lost our best player, Austin Riley came to the table and he delivered more than any other Brave that we had down the stretch. And he is one of the guys that he's the reason we made it to the postseason. And I just can't understand how this guy is not in the top 3 for an MVP. I'm sorry.
It's insane. Yeah. I agree.
He had a better year than Tatis. Should have been one of the 3 finalists. I totally agree with you. Jorge Soler, Steven, 29 years old, won a World Series with the Cubs, is the all-time single-season home run leader for the Royals with 48, and won a title with the Braves this year and the World Series MVP. That's an outstanding career, and he's only 29 years old.
Well, and let me say this. Major League Baseball, I've already talked about what time to play their games. Let me tell you something else they need to do. Fix their computer system. They tried to tell America that the ball he hit in Houston that went over the railroad tracks went 450 feet. Gentlemen, if that went 450 feet, I hit some at Eagle Stadium that was 7,000 feet. Okay? that is incredible.
Yes.
For them to try to sell us on the fact that their computer system couldn't calculate the ball that's still going up over the railroad tracks. I mean, they said that ball went 457 feet. I was like, no, it was
no way.
It went 757 feet, maybe. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, the Braves put out a post to NASA and was apologizing for denting the space station the next day. But guys, listen, I know you guys don't believe this. I watch you guys almost every week. It's fun. You guys bring such a refreshing viewpoint to baseball game we love. I can't appreciate both of you enough. You know, Swor and I, we're in the battlefield. We're in the same industry every day. DJ, you're doing something that really matters, educating. Well, whatever you're doing, educating people in the future. But it's refreshing and to see guys that love the game, that are not being paid to take time away from our jobs and away from our family to do this on a weekly basis. I love it. No, Joe Friend's episode was awful, but that's side point. It really was. So, but at the end of the day, guys, I can't appreciate you enough. I'm hoping that next summer, now that hopefully COVID's kind of passed us up, that the 3 of us can get together, maybe a couple more. Go see a game somewhere. West Virginia doesn't have Major League Baseball, so we'll have to go somewhere else other than that. But maybe you guys can fly down to Atlanta. Take a game.
I would love to.
I would too.
We'll hang out down there. But listen, I know I've got to go, but I just really do. I appreciate everything. I appreciate your friendship. You guys, other than the time I went to Chicago and DJ didn't come see me, but other than that, it's
DJ doesn't appreciate your friendship, apparently.
It really was. I mean, I sit around the hotel for hours thinking, this dude, he said I'm in his backyard. He's going to come see me in a minute. It's fine. I mean, I didn't know where he lived, so it's fine. But really, you guys do a bang up job. I've been in sports broadcasting for most of my professional career after college, locally, nothing big, but I can tell when people put in an effort, put in time versus guys that just come in there and wing it. You guys do a fantastic job of preparing, and I just can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come on here.
We appreciate it, Steve, as always, man.
Yeah, big time, buddy. I appreciate those kind words, man. And once again, congratulations, man. I'll get back to making fun of you for being a Braves fan tomorrow, but today's all about you, man. You deserve this. It's been since
I will say I had to pay extra to T-Mobile because of the number of text messages that DJ sent me during the World Series to talk about how great the Houston Astros were. And so it was, he would send me 100 in a row that was the same thing. It was like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. I mean, I thought he had a robot working for him at one point. So, I mean, but you know, it's memories like that to be sitting in Truist Park, to having one of your lifelong friends of DJ Cox wearing you out. I mean, wearing you out about your favorite team of all time, and knowing that every bit of it's done out of love. It's amazing to me. So, guys, listen, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here, and I'm just so thankful that the Braves were able to pull this off this year.
absolutely
buddy.
awesome, buddy. You have a great night, and thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks,
See
guys.
ya.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
All right, David. So we're gonna move along here now, buddy. So let's talk about Buster Posey for a little while here, man. And I know this is probably the portion of the show where we're gonna fight a little bit here. If you can do me a favor, pull up Jorge Posada for me if you got your computer sitting there.
I got my phone here.
Give me some Posada stats going here, because we got to talk about this a little bit. And I've heard a good argument about Posey and Posada on MLB a couple weeks back, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about this. Let me go over the accolades of Buster Posey first before we get into conversation about him a little bit, David. So from 2009 to 2021, a member of the Giants, 12 total seasons, and the 1 year he sat out last year. Okay. 3-time World Series champion. He won an MVP. He was the Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star. Now, those are outstanding accolades right there. But now you get into the tricky part where you get into the numbers. 1,500 hits, a 302 career batting average, which is 15th all-time among catchers, including a batting title in 2012. As a catcher, he hit 336 with a 372 on base. 158 career homers, 729 career RBI. According to David's buddy Swor, Buster is the 16th all-time catcher, ahead of Posada and Yachty, who Yachty is considered a first ballot Hall of Famer. Joe Mauer's 9th, by the way. What are your thoughts overall about the case? And I've heard people say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer too when he's done. Like, this has been an argument a lot this week. Is he a Hall of Famer? And it's an astounding yes from experts that we're listening to on a daily basis, David. So give me your big breakdown on Posey as far as that goes.
So he's in my opinion. I'm putting him in.
Okay, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, he's got 3 World Series championships. That means something. He won a batting title. That means something. Short career too. That plays into it. He could have laid in there and got some other stats. So I'm going to put him in there. But having said that, if he's in, how's Jorge not in? Somebody's got to explain that to me. Jorge's got 4 rings? More home runs. Jorge's career was 16 years, 4 years longer. He had 275 home runs to Posey's 158. He had more hits. Posada's got to be in. But I'm gonna go back to DJ. My criteria for being in the Hall of Fame. You have to be famous. If I can't if I can tell the story of baseball and your name not be mentioned, then you're out. That's the way I look at it. So Posey, I'm in for Buster Posey. What do you say?
Man, I'm very surprised you went that way on this. I got to tell you, I don't know how you keep him out as a catcher. Now, I always talk to you about this, how it matters what position you play as to whether or not you're a Hall of Famer. Okay, if he was a first baseman, absolutely not. He's not there, because the things that he did from behind the plate too, David, they have to come into effect here. He was an outstanding defensive catcher. The thing that Madison Bumgarner, and he's connected to this because he's right there with him. What Madison Bumgarner did in the 2014 World Series is, to me, is one of the most outstanding pitching performances in the history of the game. It really is. For him to just take the ball and say, it's mine, I will pitch every single game of this World Series till my arm falls off, and I don't care. and for Buster Posey to be calling his pitches with him hanging like a noodle that entire series, and for them to make that work, that has to mean something, David. And he caught 3 World Series titles. He caught a perfect game, which I know is not, super crazy or anything like that, but it's really cool. He throws out a ton of runners. He was outstanding defensively, and that's why you see the metrics on him rise above some of these guys that you would think he's not ahead of. Posada, Molina. You wouldn't think he's ahead of them in these metrics, but he is. And it has to be because of the defense, because, he wasn't a speedster on the base paths, although he did do a good job on the base paths too. But man, I tell you what, like you said, the 3 World Series titles has to mean something. He won an MVP. He won a Rookie of the Year. Those are tough things to do, man, especially in the major leagues where you got guys that are just absolute monsters year in and year out. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know how you keep a top 20 guy all time at a position out of the Hall of Fame. And he's one of them. So, and like you said, man, he's famous, and you can't really say anything about the San Francisco Giants without getting to Buster Posey very fast in that conversation. So,
Well,
that
and
means a lot.
because they're a West Coast team, you forget, man, the Giants went on a historic run right there.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't even realize it because I just didn't care that much about them. I didn't watch them. I honestly can't say I've ever watched a full game of Buster Posey playing, just to be honest with you, but that doesn't take away for what he accomplished. And yeah, in my book, he's in.
So when you think of Posey, David, what is the highlight that comes to your mind? Like, I saw a video today of like his top 20 highlights. Do you have one that stands out in your mind that comes to mind specifically on him?
I guess the thing that comes to mind for me with Buster Posey is he had what was potentially a career-ending injury.
Yep.
He still comes back and is amazing. So, like I said, I haven't watched Buster Posey play that much. I've seen a few highlights and this and that, but for him to gut that out after breaking his, leg, man, that's just amazing to me. So, just a gritty player, and I just don't see any way you can keep him out.
Well, that's another thing too, David, is he changed the game from the standpoint of that's over now. After that happened, you can't do that to catchers anymore. He changed the game. That they saw that one of their main catchers went down due to something like that, and the game forever changed. That was one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen. He got hit. That guy that hit him, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, looked like Brian Urlacher or Ray Lewis coming at him 100 miles an hour when he hit him. That was a hard, it was a cheap shot, a hard hit.
I've always hated that. I've always, my whole life, hated that. If you've ever caught it all, you understand you're defenseless. You're completely helpless. And some guy just trucks you. Oh, man, I've always been against that.
So a couple other things that stand out. He's hit home runs in the World Series to put the Giants ahead in certain games, and that's huge. He did against the Tigers. Outstanding career. What a class act too. He's very quiet. And to hear him talk at his retirement speech was really cool. He had his wife up there with him, and they were talking, and you just honestly don't hear him talk that much. And for him to kind of break down his career, in the short time that he had up there was really cool, man. Really emotional time for him. Obviously, he's very young still. I believe he's 34. He could have still kept going. He had an outstanding year this year, and the Giants have got Joey Bart right behind him, going to be their catcher of the future. And he may take a lump for a year or two before he kind of settles in there, but the Giants are going to be okay moving forward at catcher, but they'll never be the same without Buster Posey because
this is going to be a massive hit for the Giants. I don't think people understand, everything he was responsible for. I mean, the pitching situation this year for the Giants is a perfect example. Most of those guys did not have good career or years before that. They come to the Giants and they're studs. That has a whole lot to do with Buster Posey, but he's leaving $22 million on the table for an option that definitely would have got picked up. So, but he's made $168 million, DJ. I think he's going to be okay.
Absolutely correct. And if I'm not mistaken, he has 2 kids of his own, and just recently him and his wife adopted 2 kids, which is absolutely awesome for somebody to do that. I think that's a really cool situation that he's in. So he's got 4 kids at home and a wife, and he's had enough. He says he's banged up. His hips are bad. His knees are going to be bad. That ankle's got to be hurting him still. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you've been banged up as a catcher for as long as he has, it's time to go. And, they made a magical run this year. They really did. And if it wasn't for a Dodgers team who spent $270 million this year for their payroll, the Giants would have had a really good shot at winning it all this year. So he kind of went out on top, so to speak, from that standpoint of the Giants winning that many games. Was an outstanding year for them, and wish him nothing but the best. So David, we're going to transition a little bit here and we'll end the show here. This has been really cool, man. Shelton was awesome tonight. That was all from the heart, man. You could tell just the emotions were just running, and that's exactly what I knew we would get out of him from the Braves fan perspective. So we'll close tonight with the rundown of the awards. This is awards week. The 4 major awards are going to be announced this week, and I just kind of want to pick your brain and see who you picked for each of these categories to win all of these. So we'll start with the ones that have kind of been announced, and I promise you I picked these before.
Sure.
Were they announced the AL Rookie of the Year? Who did you go with?
Randy Rosarena, and that really kind of was an easy pick. In my mind, before I looked at the stats, I thought it's got to be Wander Franco, right? He had that historic run, but overall, he just didn't have enough time. So for me, it was pretty easy. It was Randy Rosarena. What about you?
I agree 100% with you, David. And I think we're going to get this a little bit more moving forward. He had 20 bombs, 69 ribbies, 274 average. But here's one guy I was really surprised did not make the finals for the AL Rookie of the Year award, and that's Ryan Mountcastle. 33 homers, 89 RBI from Ryan Mountcastle, and he batted 255 with 309 on base. So his average was not that much less than a Rosarena's. And he drove in 89 runs and scored 77 himself and wasn't a finalist. To me, Wander Franco shouldn't have been there. I know he's a stud and he's outstanding. But like you said, man, he didn't play the first 2 months of the season. That's got to count for something. And he didn't put up enough numbers to make up for that. Mountcastle got the shaft on this one for sure. Should have been a finalist. And if he was in it, I would have had a hard time picking Rosarena. I'm just being honest. That would have been tough. Those guys are right there with it, if you ask me. But I did go with the Rosarena in the end there. He did end up winning this tonight. So we both kind of called that one. So anything to add on that?
No, I just that I agree. Ryan Mountcastle should have been in there. But no, I think with Mountcastle out, it was easy to pick a Rosarena.
So there was a guy in Texas that can say he had a little bit of a case too, and Garcia as well for the Rangers there. And he had a tough last 2 months of the season. I think that kind of cost him, but he had an outstanding year as well. So there's a lot of different ways they could have gone with this. I just think that Franco was the wrong move to make him a finalist this year. But NL Rookie of the Year, who'd you go with?
Again, I think this was fairly easy. It was Jonathan India. Man, what a season he had. He led all rookie batters in WAR, your favorite stats. Anyway, I mean, I think he's going to be fun to watch. To me, he may have been the Reds MVP, just to be honest with you. Of course, Castellanos would have something to say about that, but when the Reds got hot, it corresponded with Jonathan India getting hot. And so he's going to be a lot of fun to watch years to come.
269 batting average, 21 bombs, 69 ribbies. He becomes the first position player to win Rookie of the Year for the Reds since who?
Barry Larkin? I don't know.
Pretty close. Larkin did win it. Chris Sabo.
Chris Sabo, my boy.
Chris Sabo, your boy. Yep, there he is. First position player of the Reds to win Rookie of the Year. So, and David, I want to ask you this too before we move on. One of the finalists was Trevor Rogers for the Marlins, and he had a great year. He really did.
He did.
I have a really hard time comparing a pitcher to a hitter when you're going for these awards. Do you think it's fair that we have position players and pitchers mixed in on the Rookie of the Year? Should they be separate? There should be a pitcher. There should be a position player. I don't know, man. Does that water it down when you go two different ways? What do you feel about this? Because I can't compare the two. I really can't.
I wouldn't have any problem with it at all. Because like you said, it is a little bit unfair. And in Trevor Rogers' case, he had an injury, cost him all of August, but a 2.64 ERA, struck out almost 30% of the batters that he faced. Man, he was dirty. And
Yep.
I agree with you, man. He got no love. I mean, when I first saw his name on the list, I knew he had a good year, but I had no idea that he was that good. So I wouldn't have any problem, because a lot of times too, I think about the year that Jabba Chamberlain came up. He carried the Yankees those last few months and got zero love because he was a relief pitcher. And I think it would make it interesting to have, a rookie batter and a rookie pitcher.
I think they should do that, and they should keep the pitchers out of the MVP, and because they've got the Cy Young. I think the Cy Young is your MVP for the pitchers, and I think the MVP is the MVP for your position players. That's my opinion. I just can't. I can't do it, David. It's like you look at the numbers today, and you're looking at India's and his, and you're like, how am I supposed to figure out who's better out of these two? They're completely different worlds. It's not even like you can't do it. So I don't know, man. They probably never will change it, but that's something that we're gonna have moving forward. I wish they would think about it a little bit more. So AL Manager of the Year. What do you got, man?
I'm gonna go with Scott Service.
Wow.
I have to, man. Who would have picked the Mariners to be close to the playoffs like that? Kevin Cash, everybody in the world was picking them to win it all. I love me some Dusty Baker, but again, everybody was picking them, and I think it ought to go to the manager that didn't have the most talent, that did the most with it. So I'm going with him.
Man, I hate to say this, but I 100% agree with you. I have him as well.
Shoot. You just didn't want to pick Dusty Baker.
I would have never picked Dusty Baker. You know better than that. He was third on that list. He shouldn't have even been a finalist. Well,
whatever.
90 and 72 for the Mariners. And this team was
Crazy.
not expected to do this. They've got a lot of young talent coming up. There's no way anybody predicted them to win 90 games. Scott Service did an outstanding job. Like you said, Kevin Cash had the talent. He had all the rookies. Another outstanding year for him, obviously, winning the AL East, but just not enough, in my opinion. I'm going Scott Service as well. NL Manager of the Year.
DJ, we have to eat some crow on this one. Just admit it. This is easy. It's Gabe Kapler, because he's in the same boat as Scott Service. I'm embarrassed, actually, to go back and listen to the podcast and our predictions for the Giants, because we hated on them pretty daggone hard, and they were the best team in baseball. So, Gabe Kapler, my hat's off to you, buddy. You're definitely the manager of the year.
I can't do it, man. I can't.
Whatever.
I can't do it. I can't. I'm going with Craig Counsell.
You are so dumb.
The guy who wins the NL Central with his best player retiring and his other best player, who's way better than the guy I just said, having a terrible year. So you have one of your superstars retire. You have one of your superstars have a terrible year. You still win the division by a mile. Even a team that has a 17-game winning streak cannot catch you. So yeah, it's Craig Counsell. I stand behind that 100%.
Whatever. I think you had the Giants in like fourth place, just like me, or maybe even fifth.
Oh, man, I had nobody below the Rockies, but yeah, I did have them down there for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll let you give the love to Kapler. I'm gonna keep that to myself. AL Cy Young Award. Who are you going with?
This is a really tough one. I want really bad to pick Garrett Cole.
Just do it.
I want really bad to pick Garrett Cole, but I'm not going to.
Wow. What?
Yep. I'm going to go with Robbie Ray. And the reason why, DJ, I value innings. And Ray had a better ERA. He pitched more innings. I know he didn't have the wins and stuff that Cole had, but I'm going to have to give it to Robbie Ray.
I'm going to agree with you because those 193 innings were dominant. That's why, David. They were awesome. Only 52 walks on the season for a 1.04 whip, 248 Ks, a 284 ERA. He is the winner, in my opinion. Outstanding year. I got to hand it to Garrett Cole, who should, if he won it, I would not argue against that one for 1 second. So I think this is one of the closest races we're going to see out of the mix. I think this one is the one that I'm thinking is probably maybe this and the NL MVP are the two that I'm like kind of wondering whether they're going to go with this, because they're very close, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this. So
Cole's September cost him this award. If Cole would have had a good September, but he had that hamstring injury. He couldn't help it. He was trying to gut through an injury, and to me, that probably lost him the Cy Young. Good
point there for sure. NL Cy Young Award. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go the same direction. I love guys that pitch lots of innings. So Zach Wheeler pitched more innings than anybody. I think he was 5th in the league in ERA. I think he was one of the top in strikeouts. I don't remember exactly where he fell. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going with Zach Wheeler.
Wow. Okay. I got you there. I'm going with Max Scherzer, 15-4, a 2.46 ERA, 236 Ks, and 0.86 whip in 179 innings. I looked at Zach Wheeler's innings pitched. That's outstanding, David. I will give you that. To me, that set him apart from Burns by a long shot. Burns missed a lot of starts this year. His starts were outstanding, but I can't give it to a guy whose innings are weighed down like that for missing too many starts. So I'm going to go with Max Scherzer. That's going to be a very close race, I think, as well. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that, because there's a lot of guys who are capable of winning that. Not just the top 3 there. There was a bunch of guys that could have won that too. So this is the most obvious one of them all. AL MVP.
Vlad Guerrero Jr., man. It's got to be.
Stop it.
Yeah. No. I'm going to stand right here and plant my flag.
No way.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. Yes.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
There is no way it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Why are you saying Vlad Guerrero Jr. over a guy who's done something we have never seen in the history of the game?
Don't care. Not impressed.
I just got completely dumber.
I mean, I just, again, I guess this goes back to the hitting bias for the MVP for me. Vlad Guerrero Jr. was the best hitter. You can't deny it. The best hitter in baseball, and it really wasn't even that close. I do appreciate the fact that Ohtani was a great pitcher too, but he just kind of pitched sporadically. I'm going with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm sorry.
I am in shock. I can't believe you just said that. I really can't. Ohtani had 46 bombs, 100 ribbies, 103 runs scored. Outstanding offensively. I give you that Vlad was better offensively, but when you've got a guy like Ohtani who dominated on the mound as well, started the All-Star game. Crazy, man. What an unbelievable season. Something of which we've never seen, and since Babe Ruth, if you want to even go there on that. Unbelievable. I'm definitely going Ohtani 100%. I think that may be unanimous, to be honest with you. I think he might get all the first place votes. You don't think so?
No.
You think there's going to be 1 or 2 for Vladdy, or you think it's going to be close?
Vladdy's going to win it, man.
There's no way he's going to win it.
He's going to win it.
Zero chance. This award out of all of them is the most obvious that Shohei Ohtani is going to win more than any award. Like
I said, I definitely have a hitter's. I definitely have a hitter's bias on this. I can't help it. Vlad was so special this year, man. He hit over 300. He walked more than anybody. He had tied for the league lead in home runs. And maybe I'm feeling guilty because I dogged on him too beginning of the year, if you'll remember. So that might be it as well.
You did dog on Vladdy a little bit.
I said it's time to step up, and he heard my cries, and he did.
He did hear it. He listened to this podcast on a daily basis. So I agree. I think he definitely had an outstanding year. I won't knock you too much, but I think that's the most obvious. Unanimous Shohei Ohtani MVP. So this is a good one, David. Now, this one I don't think we're going to go the same way either on. So what do you got for NL MVP?
Man, I'm going to be honest. I almost don't think there's a wrong answer.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Juan Soto just because I like him better. But if you went with Bryce Harper, I couldn't really argue with you either. And I think Tatis is a distant third.
Tatis is a distant third. I think this is a 2-horse race. And man, Austin Riley deserved to be there over Tatis.
Absolutely, man. That's such a joke. And everybody puts Freeman above him for some reason. I don't understand that either. I love Freddie Freeman. It would be so awesome if he was wearing pinstripes next year. I think we'll go back to the Braves. But anyway, but Austin Riley gets no love, and he's literally better in every single category. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's the guy I wouldn't trade Chris Bryant for. That was one of my awesome predictions for the year, too. So that worked out really well. Let's not get that guy for Chris Bryant. Let's instead get 4 minor leaguers I've never heard of. Yeah. So Juan Soto is the pick. I agree 100%. And here's why, David. 95 ribby and 111 runs scored. He produced more than anybody, 29 bombs, 157 hits, 145 walks, 313 batting average, and a league leading 465 on base. He got on nearly half the time he was up between walks, hit by pitches, and hits. Outstanding, man. What an unbelievable year for him. Bryce Harper is making a good case for MVP as well.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of awesome stats. He won the Hank Aaron Award, I believe Bryce Harper did. So he's no joke by any means, stretch of the imagination. What an outstanding year for him too. But just think Soto was a little bit better, man.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry for all the racket. My dog was getting ready to go lay on Allison's clean clothes, so I apologize. had to catch him before we had a big problem.
Please let him do that for the sake of Allison's clothes.
He's got them all folded over there and ready to go, and I see him over there like, oh yeah, I'm laying on these.
Schwarber was over here a little while ago too, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's gonna start barking when Shelton's in the middle of talking, and he didn't. To his credit, that little booger went upstairs and didn't say a word. So good on him as well. So David, we didn't really get a chance to talk about this one, and we were going to bring this up real quick, kind of the end of the show. But the Tigers had made some noise getting Erod, man, to a $77 million deal. What'd you think of that, bud?
I secretly love Erod, just to be honest with you. I know he had the one bad season last year with COVID and everything and all that, but I think this is a shrewd move personally. What do you think?
I do too, man. And I think the Tigers are coming, buddy. I really do. I think that they didn't hire Hinch for any reason to come in here and, have a team that's going to win 70 every year. The farm system is loaded. For the first time in a long time, they're going to have an ace besides who's the lefty that they have normally. That's their ace.
Matt Boyd.
Matt Boyd is no longer their ace for like 5 years in a row. He's been the worst ace in baseball by far. So Erod is their ace currently. Great signing. I mean, why not? I mean, these guys look like they're going to make some noise here, and it'll be interesting to see what direction they go with this young talent and combining it with some veterans like they're doing. So pretty crazy, man.
Verlander's got to come back. That would be the coolest thing if he came back and you got Erod and the Tigers made a run, which they're going to need a lot more than that. And I actually doubt they'll sign him. But ESPN or whoever it was, I can't remember who exactly it was, but had Verlander to the Yankees, 1 year, $20 million. Sign me up for that.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? Did they really
sign me right up for that?
Yankees are signing everybody. That's what
they are.
David's saying.
Hey, I think the Yankees are going to release the hounds here a little bit. I think we're going to see them spend some money.
So if you're bringing Justin Verlander at 39 back to the Tigers, it's time to bring our boy Preston Larison back too, buddy. He's got to come out of retirement too. I know he's 40 and everything, but he's right there with Verlander. You got to sign with the Tigers, Preston, and make this thing happen. So,
hey, and if you make it, I'll sit behind home plate and eat popcorn the whole time you pitch.
That's absolutely awesome, man. So, David, unless you got anything else to add, that is another outstanding episode. That was a lot of fun, man. Shelton, thank you so much for the kind words, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And to all the other Braves fans, I know we've had a ton of those guys on here, David. Congratulations to all of you. It would take me literally another 10 minutes to read all of the names of our teammates or our Braves fans. But just a ton of you. You deserve this. It's been a long time. And just to think, man, that since we've known all those guys, David, they haven't won the World Series, which is crazy to think. So they finally had their time to win it. So congratulations to them. Please like our page on YouTube. subscribe to our channel. That'd be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. And David, have a good night, buddy.
All right, you too, man.